All right, let's dive into a story that honestly feels like it's been ripped straight from a spy movie. But here's the thing, it's not fiction. This is happening right now in the digital world. We're talking about a brand new and pretty terrifying alliance between two of the planet's most dangerous state-sponsored hacking teams.
I mean, it's the classic comic book question, right? You've got one supervillain. And sure, that's a problem. But what happens when two of them actually decide to team up? Suddenly, the threat level just goes through the roof.
Well, like I said, this isn't fiction anymore. Because in the digital world, that's exactly what just happened. We've got new intelligence that's uncovered a real-world team-up. And it has cybersecurity experts? Well, let's just say they are on high alert.
So, let's get right into it. The two groups in question, on one side, you have a Russia-aligned group called Gamaredon, and on the other, North Korea's infamous Lazarus Group. And for what appears to be the first time ever, they're not just operating in the same space, they're actually sharing operational infrastructure. We're talking about them using the same digital tools to carry out their attacks. So who exactly are we dealing with here? Let's break it down. First, you've got Gamaredon. They're linked to Russia, been on the scene since about 2013, and their main game is good old-fashioned cyber espionage. Their number one target? The Ukrainian government. Then you've got the Lazarus Group from North Korea. They're the veterans here, active since 2009. And while they started in espionage, their focus has really shifted to massive financial heists, specifically targeting cryptocurrency platforms. So you've got two crews with totally different motives and totally different styles. And just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about with Gamaredon, get this. Ukraine's security service has tied them to more than 5,000 separate cyber attacks. 5,000. I mean, they're just relentless, incredibly prolific, and absolutely laser-focused on their target. And then you have Lazarus. With them, it's all about the money. Their impact? It's measured in cold, hard cash. Well, cryptocurrency. They're responsible for stealing over $1.7 billion. That's billion with a B. There's really no other way to say it. They are hands down one of the most successful digital bank robbing syndicates in history.
So, right. That is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? These groups are absolute masters of staying in the shadows. So how on earth did investigators manage to connect a Russian spy outfit with a North Korean crypto heist crew? Well, it turns out the clue was hiding in plain sight, on a single piece of shared digital real estate.
And that digital real estate is something called a command and control server, or a C2 for short. The easiest way to think about it is like the hacker's digital headquarters. It's the central computer they use to send out commands and, pull back all the stolen data. Finding two different hacking groups using the same C2 server, that's basically like finding out two completely separate criminal gangs or sharing the same secret safe house. It just doesn't happen unless they're working together. And this is where the whole investigation kicked off. It started at a single digital crossroads, this one IP address. This was the exact spot where the trails of these two, supposedly separate groups, suddenly and very mysteriously merged into one.
And the timeline here is what really tells the story. Okay, so on July 28th, researchers flagged this specific server because it was showing activity from Russia's Gamaredon group. Then, just 4 days later, the exact same server pops up, this time hosting malware that belongs to North Korea's Lazarus Group. 4 days. That is way, way too close to be a coincidence.
And yeah, it absolutely wasn't a coincidence. The digital forensics were just undeniable. The malware they found, it was a known tool right out of the Lazarus playbook, InvisibleFerret. The way it was delivered, it perfectly matched their contagious interview campaign. And the payload's hash, its unique digital fingerprint, was a confirmed match to Lazarus tooling. There was no doubt about it. This was the smoking gun.
Okay, so that's the how. We know how investigators connected the dots. But that leaves us with the much bigger question. Why? Why on earth would a Russian group focused on espionage suddenly team up with a North Korean crew that's all about theft? Well, to figure that out, we have to zoom out from the code and look at what's happening in the real world. And it turns out this digital partnership didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's a direct reflection of a much deeper, real-world alliance that's been growing between Russia and North Korea. I mean, back in 2024, the two countries signed a comprehensive strategic partnership. And this wasn't just a handshake. The pact actually includes mutual defense commitments. We're even hearing reports that North Korean soldiers have been deployed with Russian forces in Ukraine. So what we're seeing in cyberspace, it's just their political and military partnership playing out in the digital realm.
And this is why this discovery is such a big deal. This is the first time we have ever had documented public proof of a Russian and North Korean cyber collaboration out in the wild. This isn't speculation anymore. A whole new chapter in state-sponsored hacking has just begun.
So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, for the folks on the defensive side of cybersecurity, the game has completely changed. You can't track these threat groups in their own little silos anymore. Now, it's absolutely crucial to start actively looking for these kinds of overlaps in their infrastructure. And maybe even more important is the need to share intelligence across companies, across sectors, across borders, so we can spot these emerging alliances early, before they can do too much damage.
So, what we've just seen is the birth of a totally new kind of cyber threat, one that's been forged in the fire of a real-world geopolitical alliance. It proves that when nations become partners on the world stage, their digital armies are right there with them, joining forces too. And all of this leaves us with one final and pretty unsettling question. If Russia and North Korea are the first to form this kind of digital pact, who's going to be next?